Our delightful friend and raconteur, Dr. Watson, in his cheery study.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Bell.
Good evening.
I say, would you mind handing me that little notebook over there? The old bullet wound in my leg's acting up again. I don't enjoy hopping about.
Of course. I'm terribly sorry. I didn't notice.
Why would you, Mr. Bell? Why would you? I'm still capable of my 5 miles a day, provided, of course, it's one of my good days.
Well, of course you are. I'm just wondering how you ever managed to get around as much as you did with Sherlock Holmes. On your bad days, I mean.
Yes. Many are the long and weary miles I've spent trading around after that insatiable sleuth hound when he was hot on the scent. But I remember once when I got even with him, a rascal.
Really? When was that?
It was one spring, in the year 1896, if I remember correctly. Holmes, in the excitement over some chemical experiments, had managed to spill some rather potent acid on his right trouser leg. Before he noticed it, the fabric was completely eaten away, and the flesh underneath had sustained a dangerous burn. At least I led Holmes to believe it was dangerous. The only way to keep him anchored to his armchair was a linseed oil bandage neatly in place, where to do some good.
Sherlock Holmes sitting quietly in an armchair. That must have been an unusual sight, Dr. Watson.
It was, Mr. Bell, it was. Our large, airy sitting room in Baker Street was cheerfully illuminated, as I've mentioned before now, by 2 broad windows. One of them, I opened. The weather was unusually warm for May. Then I established Holmes in his armchair in front of it, so that he could watch what was going on in the street below.
Well, I wouldn't have thought there would be enough activity on Baker Street to keep Sherlock Holmes amused, Dr. Watson.
There wasn't, Mr. Bell. There most decidedly was not. Not only did the tedium of sitting still irk my friend, but his leg burned like a veritable inferno. The combination was not calculated to improve his disposition.
Watson, the discouraging, disgusting,
disciplinary?
No, disgraceful irony of it.
Of what?
This blasted idleness.
But Holmes, after all, it's not your fault if you're temporarily hors de combat, as they say in our more elegant novels.
Who said it was? I'm not complaining because I'm not able to go about looking for trouble, but because no one brings me any. Here I am, the greatest unofficial consulting detective alive.
What's so extraordinary in that?
What do you mean?
I thought you always claimed you were the only unofficial consulting detective.
I am.
Well, then naturally you're the greatest.
Now, don't quibble, Watson. As I was saying, here I am, the greatest consulting detective, the last and highest court of appeals in detection. And no one comes to consult me. No one brings me a crime to solve.
Maybe there haven't been any.
All nonsense. The newspapers are full of crimes. 2 bank robberies, an abduction, 3 fires of undoubtedly incendiary origin, and a stolen baby carriage I reported in yesterday's paper alone.
Jimmy.
But does Scotland Yard remember my existence? Does Lestrade drop in this dilatory way? Not at all. Nor have they managed to solve the cases for themselves. No, they're content to let matters drift. Shiftless inefficiency. And here I sit, my brain stagnating, my energies untapped. I'd even be content to work on the baby carriage, blast it.
Yes, but look here, Holmes. Even if they brought one of these cases to you for solution, you're in no condition to go prowling about town collecting the necessary data.
I wouldn't need to, Watson. Not if they bring me the facts. Anyone, even Lestrade, can unearth facts. It's the correct interpretation of them that marks the expert. The science of deduction and analysis is one that can only be acquired by long and arduous study. From a drop of water, the true logician can infer the possibility of an Atlantic or a Niagara.
Oh, well, if all he wants a glass of water...
Water, bah! I know all there is to know about the water supply of London. Furthermore, I'm not thirsty. No. What I crave is mental stimulation, something to occupy my brain. And what happens? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Even the passers-by in Baker Street this morning are incredible dullness and respectability. What have we had? A washerwoman with a cold from going out in the air too soon after working over her steaming tubs. Barber with asthma from clipping dusty hair. A postman with corns. And 2 distributors of religious pamphlets, one on each side of the street. Not what one would term exciting specimens of the so-called Homo sapiens.
Well, good heavens, you can't expect thieves and beggars and cutthroats every day of the week.
Well, why not? Every human being is a potential criminal. In fact, you might be surprised to know, Watson, how many people hide a crime of some sort in their past.
Oh, rubbish. I'm no misanthrope like you.
Oh, you're always looking at life through the rosy tinted spectacles of a confirmed romanticist. I wonder it doesn't make you bilious. Hello. There's the chap I've been waiting for.
Where?
Turning into Baker Street from Marylebone Road. Drunker than usual. Dear. Auntie will be annoyed.
Holmes, what are you babbling about? You must be running a fever.
Certainly not. My temperature's perfectly normal. What day of the month is it, Watson?
Why, it's the, I don't really remember.
Don't remember? This place, the breakfast table, is all littered up with bills, and he doesn't remember the day of the month it is.
By Jove, of course. It must be the first of the month.
Bravo, Watson. I knew you could do it if you tried.
You go to blazing.
Oh, I have, judging from the fire in this leg.
Now, what connection has the first of the month got with the inebriated young gentleman lurching up the other side of the street?
Watson, do you mean to tell me that during all the years we've inhabited this suite of rooms, you haven't noticed that come the first of the month, young Mr. Peckworth comes to collect his allowance from his bedridden old aunt who lives in number 224, to the right of his garden house which lies directly opposite us?
I never even knew there was a Mrs. Peckworth in the neighborhood.
There isn't. The old girl's name is Blunt, Mrs. Blunt. She's married Peckworth's mother's brother, wealthy soap manufacturer, now deceased. Stingy old moneybag with a conscience that bristles like a porcupine. Understand, she's threatened to cut young Mr. Peckworth out of her will if he turns up once more under the influence of liquor. Here he is. Not only tipsy, but an hour late. The old lady's in a fury.
How do you know so much about it?
Mrs. Hudson has a butter and egg borrowing acquaintance with Mrs. Blunt's housekeeper, the sole attendant. Elderly spinster by the name of O'Reilly, Bridget O'Reilly.
Yes, but how do you know the old harridan is in a temper on this particular morning?
I've seen her face. She has her couch drawn to that second-story bay window. She's poked her head with this incredible nightcap through the curtains no less than 32 times during the last 40 minutes. And her expression is enough to frighten a gorgon. Yes, there she is again.
By Jove, she's caught sight of her nephew and noticed the difficulty he's having in negotiating her front steps. I'm glad I'm not in his shoes.
Yes, there's a potential drama of no mean voltage in that household, Watson. I wouldn't be surprised if it... Hello? The door is open before Mr. Peckworth is trying to pull the bell. Oh, that's Miss O'Reilly, the housekeeper. She's got a hat on.
Yes, she must be going.
To the post office to post a message, judging with a letter in her hand. Must be important.
What?
Because it's an ordinary letter, she'd drop it at the post box at the corner. That indicates she intends to go further, to the post office, in fact.
She seems to be giving young Peckworth a bit of a tongue lashing. I'm sure he's having something to say himself.
She slammed the door in his face, leaving him on the steps outside.
There she flounces down the street.
Something's going on in that house, Watson. Something dashed unusual.
And what gives you that impression, Holmes?
Bridget O'Reilly was so unstrung she forgot to remove her apron. Shouldn't take that O'Reilly woman 15 minutes to go to the post office and return.
Well, she probably had to stand in line. Know yourself how many people send out money orders the first of the month.
Possibly. Still, 15 minutes.
No, Mrs. Blunt seems to be having a pretty too. She's tapping on the window pane to attract her nephew's attention.
And she's motioning him to come inside.
I can't get in on this. The door is closed. I say I can't get in.
She can't make out what he's saying. She's opening the window.
What's that? I say I can't get in on door. The door is shut. Open it. You can't get in.
She's right. The door was unlocked all the time. And he's gone inside.
Yes, and left the door open. What was that? What was that?
Sounded like a door being slammed. Probably the draft from the open front door blew it shut.
If the draft of that strong, it would slam the front door, blow it wider open. But it hasn't been moved.
Here comes young Pickwick. Like a shot out of a gun.
He's had a shock. Face white. Perfectly sober. And he goes tearing down the street. I tell you what, that wasn't the door we heard. It was a revolver. Oh, confound this snake, if I could do
You mean he's murdered his aunt, and now he's trying to get away? Never fear, Holmes. I'll catch him.
Stop, please. Hi there. Stopping somebody.
Shut up, you idiot. You'll spoil everything.
Yes, Holmes, you just say.
Quiet, what's quiet? Here comes the housekeeper back down the street. She's got rid of the apron, I see.
Yes, she's hurrying to make up for lost time. There she goes. Up the steps.
I wonder what she's about to find inside that house.
Good heavens, Holmes, you are a cold-blooded monster. No, I believe you're actually hoping there'll be thieves in the attic and a body in the cellar.
I don't think we shall have to hope for a body in this, Watson. There's bound to be. Yes, here comes the housekeeper racing down the steps, hair disheveled.
Police, murder. He's killed. He's not in his door.
Now, what'd I tell you?
Police.
Well, if they must call Scotland Yard, I only hope they send for Inspector Lestrade.
Oh, I do wish you'd come away from that window and eat your supper.
Oh, confound it. Lestrade has been in that house for 5 hours now. How long is it going to take him to collect his facts and ask us silly questions?
Holmes, the stew's getting
Well,
cold.
blaze it with a stew. Eat it yourself. No. Don't. There comes Lestrade now, Watson. Quick. Invite him to drop over for a drink. Quick, Watson. Quick.
Right, all right. Hey there. I say, Lestrade, how about a shot of brandy?
Oh, all right, Dr. Watson. I don't mind if I do.
Here he comes, Holmes.
Good. Now get out the glasses, Watson. Get him out.
All right, that's just what I was about to do. Give me time, can't you? Now, let me see. You want a big one, I suppose.
Come in. Ah, Inspector Lestrade.
Well, Holmes, there's been a murder just across the street. Practically under your very nose, as you might say.
Yeah, so they tell me.
How are you having, Lestrade?
Oh, very mild. Not more than 4 fingers, I think.
Abstemious, eh, Watson?
Soda?
Oh, a splash. Just a splash.
Here you are, Lestrade.
Now, there's the ticket.
Have you evolved any theories as to how the crime was committed, Lestrade?
Theory? My dear Holmes, you should know by now the Scotland Yard inspector on the case does not drink. We arrested the murderer at his club not half an hour ago. Well, here's to the yacht.
I suppose when you say the murderer, you're alluding to young Peckworth, Mrs. Blunt's nephew.
Exactly. She had a powerful motive. The old lady had just sent off a letter to her attorney saying she wished to see him about changing her will.
All right. The housekeeper told you that, I suppose.
Yes. It seems she met Mr. Peckworth on the front steps when she was going out and told him, too. It seems they had quite a few words on the subject.
Absolutely. Holmes and I can testify to that. Eh, Holmes? They quarreled for several minutes. Of course, we couldn't hear what they said, but their expressions were decidedly angry.
And the letter?
Oh, it was mailed right enough, Holmes. Registered at the post office. The housekeeper signed the book.
Oh, really?
Furthermore, the contents of the letter were exactly as the housekeeper specified. So the motive is proved. Even Mr. Pickwick can't deny that. How about another round, Dr. Watson? Solving crimes is dry work.
Right. Hand over your glass.
Huh? Well, Holmes, you can't complain Scotland Yard isn't thorough. We traced that letter inside of half an hour.
Have I ever, Lestrade? Short-sighted, perhaps, even dense, but never, well, hardly ever, not thorough.
Oh, I like that. Well, we proved the lad not only had the motive, he had the opportunity.
You don't say.
Here's a drink.
Oh, thanks. He was in the house alone at the time of the shooting.
And how do you know?
Your own Mrs. Hudson is our authority for that.
Oh,
She heard what sounded like a shot across the way, hurried to her basement window, and was in time to see Pickwick dash out of the house and go tearing off down the street.
well, I don't doubt he was in the house at the time of the shot. In fact, Watson and I can testify to that, too. But that doesn't prove he fired the shot.
Oh, it doesn't, eh? Well, what was it then? Spontaneous combustion?
Well, even that isn't such an impossibility as you might think, Lestrade. Would you mind answering a few questions, just to put my mind at rest?
Certainly, Holmes. If it will amuse you, always humor the sick.
First of all, what was the expression on the old woman's face?
Well, we couldn't rightly say, Holmes. The murderer had fired point blank. It was badly mutilated.
Powder burns?
Oh, yes, very distinctly. She was shot at close range, if that's what you're getting at.
How about the position of her hands?
She was still holding a knitting.
Her knitting? Suggestive, eh, Watson? Very suggestive.
I must say, Holmes, I can't see what difference it makes what she was holding in her hand.
Where'd you find the revolver?
We didn't find it.
Oh, you didn't?
Pickwick must have carried it out of the house with him and disposed of it somewhere.
You're sure it's not in the house?
Of course, I'm sure. Do you think I don't know how to conduct a search? I've had the house gone off. She was afraid something was amiss. So she went immediately upstairs to her mistress.
And saw the result of the villain's handiwork.
Exactly, Dr. Watson. A few minutes earlier, and she'd have been caught red-handed.
And after viewing the body, as you might say, I suppose she ran out into the street and yammered for a policeman. He came and they searched the house.
But of course that's what happened, Holmes. Good Lord, you saw that much yourself.
I did not. I didn't witness her discovery of the body. Well, let's be accurate, Watson.
Yes, good Lord, what difference is there? Didn't have called the police.
Well, he searched the house and found no. Furthermore, the only other exit, the back door, was locked, as the housekeeper had left it. The only way the murderer could have entered the house was the front door, which the housekeeper had neglected to lock in her excitement. And we have witnesses to prove that Pickwick was the only person to use that door during the housekeeper's absence.
Right. I'll back you up on that, Scott.
Thank you, Doctor.
Watson, you're a fool. What has young Peckworth to say about all this, Lestrade?
Oh, the usual thing. Bleats about his innocence. Says he was just about to go upstairs when he heard the shot. Realized that something was decidedly wrong and that he'd be blamed for it if he was found on the spot. Said he never was upstairs at all. Ridiculous, isn't it? That's the trouble with the average criminal. Can't even think of a plausible story.
Yeah, the story may not be particularly plausible in this case, Lestrade, but it does happen to be the truth. Peckworth did not kill his aunt.
What makes you so
The
sure?
lapse of time between the shot and his exit out the front door of the house couldn't possibly have run from in front of his aunt's couch downstairs and out in that short time. Hence, he was not upstairs when the shot was fired.
Yes, but that's just a matter of a couple of seconds. No jury in the world will believe that anyone can judge time with that degree of accuracy.
Now, the average British jury is not composed of magnificent intellect, I grant you. However, I have further proof, which will, I think, convince even their dull brains.
And that is?
Mr. Peckworth did not have a gun on this person when he went in. The bulge would have been extremely noticeable under the popish lightness of the clothing. Nor did he have one when he left the house.
By Jove, Holmes, I believe you're right. No revolver was found inside the house.
Of course not. The murderer was very careful to remove it.
And now I suppose you're going to tell me you know who the murderer was.
Quite. It was Bridget O'Reilly, the housekeeper.
Holmes, you're out of your mind. She couldn't possibly have entered the house.
Oh, no? Suppose you search the airway back of Mrs. Blunt's residence for a blood-stained apron and a businesslike revolver. She can't have hidden them too carefully. She didn't have time.
Well, I'll do it.
Good.
Not that I expect to find anything, mind you.
Oh, of course not.
I'm only doing it to humor you. Because you're sick.
Damn right, dear.
Here comes the Strad back again, Holmes.
The search didn't take so long, Watson? Scotland Yard is really rather clever at finding things. Yes, once you point out where they should look. Now, come in. Well, Lestrade.
Well, you know, Holmes, sometimes you're positively uncanny.
You don't tell me. Well.
Stevens is over there now, getting the housekeeper's confession.
I take it you found the apron and the revolver.
Yeah, we did. In the areaway, just as you said. It was hidden in an old watering pot. The revolver even had a perfect set of the housekeeper's fingerprints still on it.
Oh, careless of her.
But how you figured it out, Holmes, is beyond me.
I knew the moment you said the victim was still clutching her knitting.
Yes, but
Whoever it was that shot her didn't take her unawares. She was shot from the front at close range. However, the approach of the murderer didn't alarm the old lady, or she would have dropped her knitting and put up her hands to defend herself.
Of course, I see what you're getting at.
Now, don't interrupt, Watson. And the only two people who were that intimate with the old lady were her nephew and her housekeeper. Matter of fact, had her nephew entered the room, she would probably have put down her knitting in order to give him a tongue lashing. Furthermore, we know it could not have been the nephew because he did not carry the revolver out of the house. Well, who was left? Housekeeper, of course.
Well, I can grant you all that, Holmes. But dash it all, how did she get in and out? The back door was locked from the inside.
Quite. However, you'll be only the housekeeper's word for it, that it was locked when she left the house.
What do you mean?
What was to prevent her from leaving the back door unlocked? Posting the letter, sneaking back and entering through the back door, committing the crime, exiting again through the back door, disposing of the revolver and blood-stained apron. Blood always is a nasty way of skirting, you know. And then what did she do? Hurries around to the front of the house, enters again, races through to the back door and locks it from the inside. And then runs back out the front door and calls for the police. After all, she didn't have to take the time to go upstairs to discover the crime. Who knows better than the murderer when there's a corpse to be found?
By Jove, Holmes. You know, that's a magnificent chain of reasoning.
Huh? Oh, elementary, my dear Watson, elementary.
Well, Dr. Watson, that was certainly a nice bit of logic.
It was.